Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro friends. Today, our episode is sponsored by Elixir Specialty Coffee. Please head to elixirspecialtycoffee.com and enter code IMAPITFORWARD to get 10% off your first purchase. Today on the Daily Coffee Pro, we are going to be talking about how to seed your own learning. This was an interesting one when I heard a barista say to me, I don't understand why it's not my boss's responsibility to pay for my education. And I always find that rather interesting when people are expecting other people to fund their growth. So here's the thing. You're going to be the direct benefactor of anything that you learn, first and foremost. We've talked about this before on the podcast. Employers encounter so many shitty employees in our industry that eventually, after starting with a intention of I'm going to teach all of my employees and I'm going to pay for all their education and I'm going to watch them grow, they start with that and then they realize that most employees either aren't motivated enough to participate in the education that employers are funding for them, or what happens is employees get skilled up and take that information to another employer. And that can be really demoralizing because it's a big ticket investment to do this stuff, right? It's expensive. Otherwise, if it wasn't, you wouldn't be bitching as an employee about, I don't want to have to pay for my own education. You just pay for it yourself. So what ends up happening is that employers end up saying, fuck this, I'm just not going to do it. There's a middle ground that I want people to consider. And that middle ground is that you as an employee should start seeding your own learning to show an employer that you are worth investing in. And the mechanism, I guess, which is the right word for it, the mechanism by which you can do this is actually rewarding to you, to your employer, and to your customers. Now, here's my suggestion. If you're working in a cafe or a roastery or for a green buyer and you want your employer, I think you should do this whether you want your employer to be investing in your education or not, but this is a great byproduct of this is that it gives you ground to go and ask for investment from an employer towards education. But what I would suggest is that you buy the coffee that's being served in the cafe. Oh, excuse me while I plug my laptop in. Buy the coffee that the employer is offering. And buy it for home. Buy a bag of it and brew it at home the way that you would want your customers to brew it. But brew it the same if you want throughout the month. So either brew it as whatever the typical way of brewing would be for you. The way you brew it isn't necessarily the point. The idea of brewing it on a regular basis, like every single day, and creating a ritual for yourself around this is what's important. Here's why you should do this and what you stand to benefit. So the idea is you buy the coffee that your employer is selling and serving. You take it home, you brew it every day, and you drink it. Make a ritual out of it. Make it something that you do for yourself every day. And the byproduct of this is you're going to improve your palate endlessly. The more you do this, the more your palate's going to improve. You're going to start to get more sensitive to each coffee that you drink repeatedly. And you'll start to notice changes in coffee over time. That's the second benefit. You'll start to get a relationship or an understanding. If you're brewing your coffee the same every day, you'll start to notice when things are different than they were the day before. And you'll start to think about that coffee differently. It'll start to naturally generate a curiosity in you that you wouldn't have had if you weren't doing this. So it will improve your palate, as we said. It will help you understand the effect of age on coffee and the effect of storage on coffee. You will come to notice what you like and what you don't like about different coffees. Even if a coffee is something you don't like and you're drinking it repeatedly because you've got a bag to get through in a couple of weeks or a month, what you come to realize is you will start to come to an appreciation as you experience different coffees of what you like and what you don't like about particular coffees. So you'll come to realize, I like naturals more than I like washed coffees, or I like washed coffees more than I like naturals typically, or I like a particular roaster that we're serving more than another roaster that I'm serving. And try and remove brands and those kinds of things from anything that you're engaging. Another byproduct of doing this repeatedly is that you will come to gain an appreciation for how much water quality affects brewing in coffee. And I'm a big believer that these kinds of knowings just happen at a particular time the deeper you get into something. It's like latte art. You can practice it and practice it and practice it for days and months on end, but in one moment the penny just drops and you can all of a sudden do a Rosetta that you couldn't do for every time you tried before this moment. Getting and understanding why water quality is important is another one of those things. Some people just can't get their head around it. They don't know why water quality is a big thing, but after repeatedly drinking coffee from the same brew method, like a lot of things being equal, all of a sudden you will realize, oh shit, I can taste the water. Or you'll change the water and you'll realize, oh, this coffee tastes much better using this water, or much worse using that water. So that's a really great byproduct of this. Not all water is created equal, and not all water is the best thing that you can use for brewing coffee. Another byproduct of going through this, and a major contributor to your learning process, is that you will start to learn how to speak to customers about this coffee that you're drinking. I'm assuming, and what is most probable, is that the coffee that you've bought off the shelf and taken home to drink is also something that you're serving in store. And if that's the case, the fact that you're brewing it at home and drinking it and experiencing it at home means that you will have better vocabulary to have a genuine, authentic conversation with a customer about that coffee. Now, here's how that would play out. A customer comes in, they've bought a latte off you, and they are going to a dinner party. And you have learnt from listening to or attending any of our Map It Forward barista workshops, you have learnt that a great way to learn how to sell and upsell is when you get to know where your customers are going and what they're doing and social events, etc., etc. A really great way to upsell a bag of coffee is when a customer says to you that they're going to a dinner party. You could make the suggestion that instead of taking like a bottle of wine or a dessert, they could take a bag of coffee. Customer says, what a great idea. I'll take a bag of coffee. And then they'll say, well, what should I take? And your response is, well, at the moment at home, I'm brewing X, Y, and Z, and this is how I'm brewing it. And this is why I'm brewing it that way. It's better drunk a couple of days from roast. So right now, the age of the coffee is bang on to start drinking. And you know what? I found that it gets better as it cools down, and again, all the vocabulary that's needed to have an authentic, genuine conversation with a customer about a coffee that you have actually experienced brewing at home that you're recommending to them to take as a present to someone to brew at home. That's just one example, but it really does arm you with the skills that you need to grow in your selling practices. The last thing that I want to recommend to you as a part of this and will feed your learning is that it will absolutely make you more confident in everything that you're doing, because you are asking yourself more questions, you are getting more curious, you are giving yourself permission to not know because you're learning more. So your curiosity will help you realize, oh, actually, I didn't know that thing that I thought that I knew. And it's fine that I don't know it. I'm going to go and figure out what it is that actually causes that. Or, oh, that thing that I'm tasting, that celery, I don't understand why I'm doing that. I know somebody told me that that may have something to do with the age of the coffee, or it may have something to do with the roast profile. So maybe I should see if I can have a conversation with the roaster and see if they've got any information about that. That starts a really great relationship between you and the person that's roasting the coffee. Now, these things that I've listed as ways that you can grow in your learning are all signals to your employer that you are self-motivated. You are a self-starter. You are somebody who's going to learn no matter what, and you are going to take responsibility for your own learning. If you want to learn further and you want to start perhaps getting some investment from your employer in your learning, it's a really great way to show initiative that inspires confidence in them, that will make them want to invest in you. You know, a bag of coffee, most places are going to give you a discount on that coffee if you work there. Most employers will start to let you take that bag of coffee home for free if they see over time that this is what's going on and that they're contributing to your learning by doing this. I would recommend, don't take the coffee home and cup it. Take the coffee home and brew it, either in batch brew or a V60. If you have an espresso machine at home, do that. However it is that you want to enjoy coffee, and build a ritual out of it. Make this something that you do for yourself, so that you enjoy this and are experiencing gratitude towards yourself and to the many, many hands that had a role in bringing this amazing cup of coffee to you, because everybody that engaged in this process is sharing that cup with you right in the moment that you're drinking it. Peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day.